My name's Paul Smith and I'm a research scientist with Environment and Climate Change Canada. I specialize in the study of Arctic birds. The Canadian Arctic is home to a huge diversity of shorebirds. That includes species like the Red Phalarope or the American Golden-Plover. And these species are especially vulnerable to climate change. They experience the direct effects of a rapidly changing climate in the Arctic, and then also they experience effects during their long migrations. Now these species make extremely long migrations. Some of them will travel all the way from breeding grounds in the Canadian Arctic to places as far south as the southern tip of South America. These are some of the longest migrations in the animal kingdom. And what this means is that not only are they experiencing vastly different forms of climate change as they travel the length of the hemisphere, they're also experiencing climate change that's occurring at very different rates. And as they make their migration north, these different rates of climate change can mean that they're experiencing mismatched environmental cues. Some of these species will travel thousands of kilometers on the final legs of their migration before they reach their Arctic breeding grounds. And they're trying to time their arrival in the Arctic so that they can capitalize on the abundance of insects that's available in the Arctic in the summer. Specifically, they're trying to breed so that their chicks hatch just as the abundance of insects peaks. The peak in abundance of insects is determined by conditions in the Arctic, and those conditions are changing rapidly. And the timing of birds' arrival to the Arctic is determined in part by the conditions that they're encountering during their migrations. And these more southerly sites are experiencing a slower rate of climate change. So this mismatch in timing can mean that birds are breeding at an inappropriate time. And if their chicks hatch farther away from the peak abundance of these insects, that means that the growth of these chicks can suffer. Keep in mind that these chicks have only a few weeks to develop enough so that they can make this long migration south. Understanding the consequences of environmental mismatch is one of the themes of my research at Environment and Climate Change Canada.